Okay, folks, continuing with Devdas. So Aishwarya gets married in a haste, and Devdas is all heartbroken. He couldn't fight with his father for his love, so he was guilty and heartbroken. So some Chunni Babu he meets, his friend or whoever, who takes him to a तवायफ खाना, मुजरा जहाँ पे होता है. उस ज़माने में there was a difference between a red light area sex worker and a tawaif khana, because a sex worker would render sexual services in exchange of money, which is also known as a prostitute. But a tawaif will not sleep with you, but tawaif will just dance and sing in front of you, dil cheez kya hai aap meri jaan lijiye kind of stuff, and then she will bid you goodbye. Although sometimes I believe when सब बहुत ज़्यादा अगर बोली लग जाए तब तवायफ को सोना पड़ता था. अब नाच गा रही है, बहुत बड़ा कोई ज़मींदार आ गया, उसने बोला कि ओके आई वांट टू बेड हर टुडे, तो आई बिलीव दे हैड टू गो, because in some movies even that has been shown that if the boli agar lag jaye to tumko sona padega. Anyway, so he goes to the tawaif and and Chunni Lal gives him the taste of alcohol ki you drink and you will forget all about paro. So this guy gets drunk and he tries to forget about paro, but he cannot forget paro. So basically it's a myth that alcohol will make you forget things. If you are a very sensitive person and if you have really loved, you really can't forget whatever you want to forget. So what happens is he does not forget paro, but in the bargain what happens, alcohol ruins his liver and his pancreas, and drinking and all, he is about to die. In the meantime, the tawaif, who's Chandramukhi, played by Madhuri Dixit, Chandramukhi finds out why you are so sad, and then she comes to know that it is a lady's love because of which he is so sad. Then she goes and actually meets the lady Aishwarya. So Madhuri and Aishwarya meet and they sing that Dola Re Dola song. Dola Re Dola, very hit song it was. And so basically the tawaif and the ex-girlfriend or the lover, they sing and dance in the name of the guy who is basically getting drunk and about to die. So this is what happens. Eventually he dies also. So and Aishwarya goes and sees that he's dead. This is the story. I'm sorry to say, people, now let's talk about the story. I want to basically address to the girls. Girls, please see the kind of life we've had, our ancestors have had, especially the ladies have had. Imagine in the 1920s, the girls, the commoners, maybe the rich girls were getting, parents were making them read in books and send them to schools. But I'm talking about the commoners, which is 80% of India. 80% of the women were actually just getting birth and waiting to get married. Can you imagine, at the age of 6, the girl is lighting an akhand diya for a guy out of love? What love? At the age of 6, what do we know of love? So what does it show of our position way back in the early 19th century? It was very pathetic. It was, oh my God, pathetic. Because at that point of time, the girls used to get wed off at the age of 6, 7, shadi ho gayi, and 12, 13, 14 mein, when you begin to chum, tumhara ghona ho jayega. What a life. And ghona ho jayega, after that you are sent to the sasural at the age of 12, 13, and then you can understand what happens when you go to the sasural. You are having to do all the housework, kooda, karkat, khana banana, and plus have sex with the adhed umar wala person who you have gotten married to. Because at that point of time, a 6 years old, 7 years old girl used to actually get married to 25 years old guy. There's a lot of difference. 15, 20 years old difference was not a big deal at all at that point of time. So this Paro, at the very young age, at the age of 6, imagine, probably she was a rebel. Probably she saw that her aunties and her maternal and paternal aunties are getting married to Buddha. She was probably scared, and that is why she lit that akhand diya for Shahrukh, who was just 2 years older to her, so that, at least her life is safe and she gets a Jawan Mard as her husband when she grows up. Probably. The rebels will start because of the absolute, this thing, what should I say, this is wrong. I mean, a girl just wed off to 20 or 30 years her senior. By the time she's 30, he's 60. How would a 30 years old girl ever even be fascinated or even look at a 60 years old man? She will not. That is why all this ghapla of desperate housewivism started. Basically, it didn't start suddenly. There are many factors to it. So basically, what we learned from this film is nothing, because there's nothing to learn from this film, because this is placed in 1920s, in the early 20th century. There's nothing to learn from this. Only thing we have to see and observe in this film, that girls, women, please wake up and see, please become a bit alert and see the kind of lifestyles we have had. We were just treated as a sex object, and how we have fought, and how, of course, men have helped us. Ram Mohan Roy and Vidyasagar and all, they are the ones who introduced widow remarriage. They went anti-sati burning. They are the ones who got us many changes. They introduced girl child education, and also we are, of course, we have to be thankful towards our men also. But what I am trying to basically say is, do not let go of the independence that you have got because of your education. I'm sure you are trying to understanding what I'm saying. The kind of serials which we see in emotional attachar and all, girls again going and doing the blunder of jumping on bed and all, don't do this. Have a respectable life for yourself first. Marriage can happen and you can always explore each other, husband and wife. So this is what basically there's nothing to say about this movie, because we cannot relate to this movie. At the age of 6, we didn't even know what is love and what is akhandatiya and all that. It would not even occur to us. Anyway, next video I will be discussing about Dev D, which was made in 2009 by Anurag Kashyap. That is a modern take of Devdas. Like, what would be a guy like in the modern times as Devdas? That's more interesting. See you.